Like many of you, I sit back, I look at the short-term Bitcoin charts, and I ask myself, what in the world is Bitcoin doing? Is it bullish? Is it bearish? What is going on? In this video, I'm going to break down the Bitcoin charts. I'm going to answer that question, and you might not like the answer. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Crypto Capital Venture. Hit the subscribe and like on the way in. If you're in the live stream, smash the like buttons, please. I mean, the YouTube algorithms, they just love it. Help me get that momentum as we try and help Bitcoin get that momentum. Everybody, let me start here. So this is, Bitcoin dip video type of deal. I was getting ready to record a technical analysis video. I saw what's transpiring. I'm like, dude, I'm just going to go live because Bitcoin's in a little bit of a dip, and it's hardly a dip. I just want to start with that. I just want to say that this is hardly a dip. If we're zooming out on the charts and we're getting some perspective, and this is an hourly chart, what has just transpired is right now 3 to 4% dip. 3 to 4% dip. If we're calling that a dip, and if we're panicking about that, then we're basically panicking every day for the lifetime of Bitcoin. Just look at this zoomed out hourly chart. I mean, this happens all the time. Dip, 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 back here, dip, dip. I mean, look at this dip to 53,000 before a run up to 62,000. So if you're here right now, maybe especially probably if you're new to crypto and you're not used to the volatility of it all, I just want to put that out there because Bitcoin and cryptos, altcoins, more volatile often. It just does this all the time. And if you're zoomed in on the charts, it's going to freak you out. It's going to freak you out all of the time. It's why a lot of newbies that come into crypto, they're like, they experience something like this on the zoomed in charts on their mobile phone, which is even worse. They can't even zoom out on an hourly or a 15-minute. They start freaking out here. They start selling down here, and then it bounces. And then they're buying in back here. And that's the story of just extreme emotional volatility. And I encourage you, zoom out on the charts. Fix that now if you experience that. So that's that. Now let's talk about technically what's going on. Is Bitcoin bullish or is it bearish? And I want to actually just answer that question right now. So what we've been talking about so much in recent videos is exactly what's transpiring on the charts right now. It's kind of an exciting time to track Bitcoin because this is truly, we're gonna get a trend reversal or continuation in the very short term now. So I want to start real quick from a clip from this video, March 29th. We're going to look for Bitcoin to make the move up here to the $59,300 area, and we're going to see how Bitcoin interacts with that area. But again, so that was Bitcoin finally breaking a key Fibonacci resistance. So I did that video right here. And we talked about this 786 line of the Fibonacci resistance of this green channel, the 786 around 59,000. We can really call it 59,000 to $60,000. Look what's transpired. This is how Bitcoin has interacted. To answer the question that I was asking in that video, how's Bitcoin going to interact with that resistance area? There it is, illustrated on the chart perfectly. I get comments sometimes. People are like, Dan, technical analysis doesn't work. You're wasting your time. And I can't even tell. I feel like the success rate of Fibonacci tool alone is like 90% plus. And it's nothing I'm doing. I sit here, I sit down, I'm a normal dude, and I chart data and I just present it to you. This isn't anything that I just called this area as resistance. This is what the Fibonacci resistance channel, tool, indicator has done. And it happens time and time again. How many times have we tracked speculative setups before they even happen? Like symmetrical triangle type of setups where we're getting higher, higher lows, maybe, right? Like that higher low right here, lower highs, and we're falling in because we're getting ping-ponged around in between these Fibonacci resistance and support areas. So it plays out over and over on the charts. The reason why we track it to really dig into this is if you look at this area, we're looking for confirmation. That's what we're looking for. Meaning, is Bitcoin going to continue into this bull market for new all-time highs? And once it breaks a midterm Fibonacci resistance like this, that is bullish confirmation. And I haven't been, short-term bullish on the charts, even when we're getting a move. I think in this move right here, I think I did a video and I was just like, we're at that resistance line. What's going to happen? We need separation. And we fell right back into the channel. So that's what's transpiring on the daily chart. So I want to also set the record straight, everybody. Bitcoin, if you zoom out on the weekly, and this is so important as we look at the hourly, and we're going to talk about the hourly in a couple minutes, but if you zoom out on the weekly, I want to show you something. And I talk about this a lot, and I'm going to continue talking about this as we continue further along into the bull market. We are around 300 plus days, 308 days or so, post 2020 halving, this white line right here that you see in the middle of the screen. We're 308 days post halving. Now, this is Bitcoin in the bull market, right? We get that. Now, this is Bitcoin in the last bull market. 308 days post halving back then. Look how far along in the bull market Bitcoin was. And I know I've talked about this before, but it's so important for a couple reasons. Number one, we can talk about the time potentially that is left for Bitcoin in this bull market. All up here, right? All here, all up here. We have plenty of time left for Bitcoin in this bull market post-halving. Halving is the definition of supply shock. That's what's occurring. That's what's occurring on the charts. That's why Bitcoin's going up, especially with the demand. I think that even a couple of years ago, as we're doing technical analysis videos, even the bottom of the bear market, we didn't think what would be happening in Bitcoin right now would be happening yet. For me, I thought it was maybe like 2025 or something when that would be occurring. But a lot of institutional demand, things like Tesla, like all of this stuff, and we're still a lot of the bull market left. My point is the velocity in which Bitcoin has entered this bull market is insane with so much upside still. But with that, and this is a short-term warning to you, although I'm so macro bullish, I'm always just ready for potential downside. And that is because the velocity of which Bitcoin entered this bull market and still continues in this bull market is perfectly illustrated when you look at Bitcoin, this parabolic line, and you compare it to the parabolic line in the last bull market. Now, in the last bull market, and I hope you're following me here, in the last bull market, if you look back here at this blue parabolic line, you can't see it very well because it's a very thin green line, but there's a thin green line running almost perfectly confluent with that parabolic line. That's a 20-week moving average, and Bitcoin revisited it over and over, filled the gaps. So the velocity in which Bitcoin has entered this bull market, look at the gap here, 20-week moving average. There's actually a gap in between Bitcoin and that, and then the parabolic line all the way back here. So there's room for downside, is my point when we're looking at this data. There's plenty of room for downside. If you can't accept that, then you're just like you're 100% consistent bull. And I talk about downside on this YouTube channel. So you have to take it for what it's worth if you just are completely against Bitcoin dips. But I highly encourage you not to take that approach. I highly encourage you to visualize dips and dip potentials because there is a gap here. And I'm not saying it's going to come all the way back down to that parabolic trend line, but the 20-week moving average alone is at around $38,000, $39,000. Or the 20-week moving average is around $39,000. For that to be pulled up into Bitcoin is so realistic. And it plays out perfectly, potentially, on this chart over here. So that's that. But long story short, I wanted just to throw that long-term macro data out to you that says, hey, listen, there's a ton of room left for upside in this bull market, but don't get so freaked out with short-term moves to the downside. So let's talk about the support that I actually care about, and I get the sense that a lot of you would care about as well. So we can talk about short-term support all day long, and I will in a couple minutes, but the support that is so important to me is the swing low back here to swing high. And this is just that extreme short-term, or I should say mid-term type of move that we should be ready for because Bitcoin's at this Fibonacci resistance. If it fails, a throwback to this area, to the lower 50,000s, is just so realistic. It's not even bearish. it could be bearish in the short term if you're a trader or something, but it's not even bearish in my opinion at all. It doesn't concern me at all, and it's a technical area we have to pay very close attention to. And this is all within the context that Bitcoin doesn't break this 786 line, and this Fibonacci resistance succeeds in holding the Bitcoin bulls up. The reason we should pay attention to it is not only is it a Fibonacci support down here, right? And that area, by the way, is $54,000 to $52,400. That's the support area to the downside. The reason it's so important, and let me get rid of this Fibonacci because that's kind of a little messy. The reason why it's important is you know how this transpired, this entire setup to get here. Bitcoin, and I'm going to the hourly to illustrate this. We were talking about, even before this break to the downside even happened, we were talking about this move right here. We were talking about breaking to the downside for a fake out, a bounce off of 50,000. We literally talked about it before it happened for the potential pullback into this pattern. That is the setup for a busted pattern, a busted descending triangle that you see on the screen. Very bullish. And we base this pullback off of pullback data. And I use this data all the time. It's so consistent. Pullback rates of descending triangles in bull markets, 58% of the time pullback rate. So if we're looking at this chart, and this is why we talk about it and we get ready for it, right back here is potential break to the downside and pullback because they happen often. Now to the upside, throwbacks happen, meaning moves to the downside, to the upper trend line. Now those happen based off of this data 60% of the time. So many of you are always asking, Dan, what are you talking about with this data? What website is this? This is the patternsite.com. If you want to learn some technical analysis, go over there. Hopefully some things I'm throwing down, in these videos, you're picking up some stuff, you're learning. But if you want to read, this is Bulkowski. I learned a ton from this website. I've adjusted a lot of this to compensate for just years worth of Bitcoin data and volatility. But the data that he provides here is so on point, and I use it all the time. And so this is based off of 1,300 trades, 60% throwback rate. So if we're looking at this descending triangle now, and we're looking at, all right, we have a swing low to swing high. We're at this crazy resistance. What if it fails? We're coming potentially back down to this Fibonacci support, and it's confluent with the apex of the descending triangle. So we talk about 60% throwback rate. Well, that would be a throwback, and it would be normal, and it would be something we've tracked probably so many times on this YouTube channel. So the support area really truly is the upper trend line. It's the lower trend line of the apex. It's the 786 of the Fibonacci support. It's the 618. It's all up in here. Potential support for Bitcoin if there's going to be a dip. I want to say, let me remove this. Actually, let me chart real quick just that support so we have it as a reference. There's the support Fibonacci. And if you look and you notice what is entering the triangle right now is the blue line, is the 50-day moving average. So there's a ton of confluent support down here in this range of $53,000, $54,000. Could be a really interesting setup for Bitcoin. Notice it would be a higher low from this previous swing low. So if we're cruising back down here, we're starting to get Bitcoin really, truly consolidating on this midterm chart. The setup potentially for a symmetrical triangle with an even more bullish breakout to the upside easily into the 70,000. So these things take time. Unfortunately, we have to be patient for these setups. We can speculate all day, which I do all the time. A lot of the times, these setups that we speculate based off of previous historical data, based off of just the harmony on the Bitcoin charts, they often set up perfectly. But all of this, I'm talking about the potential for the dip, not only so that we're ready for it mentally, so that when it's happening, we can sit back and be like, oh, it's doing what the data already said it very well could. We're not freaking out about it, right? That's number one. But number two is kind of like, if it happens, what are you going to do? And I think that's the biggest thing, is being prepared for these scenarios. And the reason why it's a possible scenario is simple. It's how we started the video. Swing high, swing low, and this is Bitcoin right here. And it's just testing. And actually, as I do the video, I mean, it's failing. This daily chart, this daily candle, is failing at this resistance area. So we talked about in this video from the 29th, how's it going to react? How's it going to interact with this green channel, that resistance? Here's our answer. You know, 4 days later, we're talking about it, we're tracking it, and it's playing out in real time. You know, lower high resistance is nothing. It happens all the time. The other thing I really wanted to chart, because I've talked about this within the last week, and we speculatively charted this as well. And another reason this isn't surprising what's transpiring, we took our bars pattern from the swing low back here, and this was in February, to our all-time high. And I don't remember if you remember this or not. We took that and we placed it on this swing low. And we said, what could Bitcoin setup look like right now? We kind of slowed down the velocity of it a little bit. We messed around with it, and just look at this. Look at this. And Bitcoin could potentially just be doing the same exact thing it did in February, which was swing high, all-time high, to swing low, bounce off of resistance. And this is exactly where we are right now. We're at the same exact Fibonacci resistance, down, and then explosion. So that's a question. Down now, and then explosion. This is data that we've lived through, and it's happened over and over again. So it's always good to revisit it. It's always good to speculate around it, because what else can we do, everybody? I mean, honestly, what else can we do when Bitcoin is, and here's the hourly, swing high to swing low, when Bitcoin's just like trading sideways within a resistance area, we're not getting any immediate confirmations. What else can we do besides just speculate the future setups and where it's going to go and what to be prepared for? On the very short term, you know, there's 27 minutes left on this hourly chart, this hourly candle that's in play right now. You know, I'm curious to see how this hourly candle, you know, continues. What I was watching kind of before I started the video was a very short term swing low to swing high Fibonacci support, and Bitcoin's below it right now. You know, in 26 minutes, is this hourly candle going to actually close back into this Fibonacci support area, this short term Fibonacci support? I don't know. It's something to watch. But in the short term, you know, there's just very much possibility for short term bearish confirmation. But I'm telling you, everybody, these hourly zoomed in charts, they're such a waste of time, honestly. We can talk about it, and I'm always opening up my Bitcoin charts, probably like you are. But you know, unless you're trading in these short-term moves, you really shouldn't be concerned with them. What we really want to track, again, is zooming out on the chart, is more of the midterm support areas. The swing low here, swing high resistance, coming back down potentially to test this area. This is the area we want to watch for if it happens. So I wanted to do an update as Bitcoin was making a move to the downside. I know altcoins probably moving to the downside as well. I know a lot of people probably freaking out a little bit out there, but you know, it's just something that happens all the time. So I encourage you to enjoy your weekend. If you're here right now, hit that subscribe. If you're not a subscriber, smash that like button, everybody. And at the end of the day, this is Bitcoin. This is just charts. This is just money. This weekend, personally, I'm just reminded of the sinner that I am and my Lord that died this weekend and rose again, conquering death, conquering sin for me. It's important I share that with you, because at the end of the day, when I'm ending these videos, everybody, I'm so into these charts. I'm watching crypto just like you, but at the end of the day, that is all that matters to me. And I truly want you to know my heart in that regard. So I appreciate you cruising by, everybody. Let's track it. Let's see what Bitcoin does. If something crazy happens, you know, I'll do an update. Follow me on Twitter if you're on Twitter. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.